Hey, what's up guys, I'm Praetorian and welcome to Knights of Honor 2 Sovereign. So this is a new strategy game that's releasing today. It is a sequel to a really old game. I believe it came out in 2004, so essentially the same year that I joined the army. I joined the army in May 2004, so a very long time ago, and I did not play that first game. It's very similar to the Total War series in many different ways, but also quite different in some key ways. So let's go ahead and hop into a new campaign. We're going to be playing on the 11/10, so the earliest start date. So this doesn't control as much as you would expect if you're familiar with, let's say, Paradox games, which often have different start dates as well. So this is not going to result in your country being more developed. So you're not going to have like more stuff built up if you start with the later starting dates. It seems there's only a few things that the starting period does change. So first of all, it obviously changes up the starting political map. So what provinces each country has, as well as what countries are on the map. So here in 1224, we got the Latin Empire. Byzantine Empire is not here, like you'll see in the 11/10 start date. We do have a later start date as well, 1360. So just to show these starting maps here, this is the 1224, and here's the latest one in 1360. So this will change up the political map, and it will also change up who the starting historical rulers are. And it also controls diplomacy, like so who's vassals with who and so on. But other than that, there's really no other differences. So we're going to be starting on the 11/10 starting day because we're going to be playing as England. They're kind of my go-to country for a new strategy game. I just love playing as England. I did play a couple campaigns before we started. Never finished any, but really was just kind of testing different countries out and learning the game. And England was one of those countries I tried out, really liked them, so I figured we'd do the Let's Play with them. And so we're going to be doing the 11/10 because that's where England is the weakest. So if you look at them in 11/10 and compare them to 1224, you'll see that they have control of most of Ireland here in 1224. And here in France, it's really just flipping the provinces that they hold. And then if you go with the 1360, they're at their most powerful. They have control of all of Ireland, and then they have 3 provinces here in France. So we want them at their weakest point here in 11/10. The difficulty, we're going to leave this on normal, simply because I'm still learning the game. We're going to be doing the kingdom, of course, as you can see here, but you can also go with the province selection. So you could just play as York if you wanted to. So let's go back to the kingdom selection. We're going to have historical kingdom size, but you don't have to have it that way. You can select just how many provinces you're going to start with. Religious standing, that's going to be on historical. This will not impact us at all, but you can read that and see what it does. Starting king's class, we are not going to have on historical. And the reason for that is because here in 1140, the King of England is Henry I. And in the game, they have Henry as a spy. And I find that having your king as a spy is pretty much useless. It's probably the worst class to have your king be. So a spy does what you'd expect them to do. Even if they're king, they go to other countries and infiltrate them. And I have found that spies have a very high chance of getting caught and perhaps killed. There's a lot of events and stuff that result in them dying, and they also get captured quite often. So I don't think you really want your king out there infiltrating other countries, and thus it results in almost all of the different skills that they can get being kind of useless because you're not using them as a spy, and basically their whole class is kind of useless. So yeah, I just don't want our first king to be a spy. And so instead we'll pick something else. We could go with Marshal, have him out there leading troops. But I think we're just going to go with Diplomat. It might be a little overpowered starting with a Marshal, because if we start with a king as the Marshal, it is kind of a bonus, because then you're going to be able to get more marshals without having to pay that extra cost. And the king is, a pretty good marshal to have because, and we'll talk about this once we hop into the game, but basically the kings, they get level 3 skills immediately. And so really the king's the best marshal you can have. And so I don't want to get too overpowered with it. The purpose of this isn't so much trying to make ourselves more powerful. The purpose is to not have a king that's a spy. So we'll just go with, I don't know, maybe just a diplomat or something. So yeah, we'll just go with a diplomat. Not the best class for the king, but certainly not the worst either. So yeah, we'll go with a diplomat here. And then we're going to leave starting gold at normal. King's aging will be normal. And espionage is full. Basically, this just impacts what the AI will be able to do against us. We can limit them so they can't really use the espionage system against us. So we just want to keep this on full. So we can also select a minor victory condition. I'll just hover over those so you guys can see what they are. But we're not going to select one. We're just going to go with the standard victory condition, which is Emperor of the World. And I'll show you guys what that is once we're into the game. So let's go and hop on in. And so this series, like most of my strategy series, could help kind of serve as a beginner guide, because I'm going to be going over the game's mechanics and features as we play. I'm going to try and stretch out my explanations across the series so that we'll actually get to play the game, but I don't want you guys to be lost as we're playing, not knowing like what I'm doing or why I'm doing it or what's happening, because obviously that's not exactly fun to watch. And I also like these series to kind of serve as a tutorial for people who might have just purchased the game and don't know how to play. And so I have found that Let's Plays are often better, at least for me, for learning a game, because I can watch somebody, play the game. What are you supposed to be actually doing from moment to moment? Where, a guide video that's teaching you how to play, kind of teaches you what everything is, showing you how to do everything, but they don't really show you why you do things or when to do them. So yeah, this will kind of be a bit of a beginner guide series, kind of show you what I've learned in my limited time playing, my couple campaigns that I did. So you'll notice a couple things right off the bat here. We're actually going to go ahead and close this for now, just let us see a bit more of the screen. So the first thing you'll see is that as soon as we hopped in, the game started playing. So while this is like the Total War series in many ways, such as the real-time tactical battles, it combines that with a real-time campaign mode. So similar to a Paradox game, where Total War series has those turn-based campaign, this does not. There's no turns. So I thought that was interesting. Another thing is that there doesn't seem to be any like breakdown of time, like days, months, years. It just has this timer here. When you play it, it starts playing, and you'll be 2-3 hours in the game or whatever you are, and it won't tell you any dates, and that's a major difference from most strategy games I noticed. Another thing is that everything seems to be kind of randomized at the start. For example, these parameters up here, this is how the different social classes in our country feel about us. So if you go into the positive, which I believe this can go up to 10, then you get these bonuses, which are different for each of the social classes. And if you go in the negative, then you get penalties. And so this is always different. And so like I've had ones where I've started out really well, where like I have no negatives. And then you have ones like this, which of course, because of the Let's Play, so it couldn't start out any other way. We've got a bunch of negative opinions here. So basically the nobility are slightly happy with us, as are the clergy, while the army, the merchants, and the peasants are a little bit irritated with us. Also, we're starting with a kingdom stability of -2, so that's unfortunate as well. So again, it's a Let's Play, so you could expect everything's going to be as bad as it can be. I don't know if it gets worse than this, but this is probably the worst setup I've seen in my couple campaigns here. But yeah, this is all randomized. Now, we do have Henry I here, and I'm actually going to show you guys the royal family tree here. And he is married to Matilda. Now keep in mind, that's not the more famous Matilda, Empress Matilda. This is Henry's wife Matilda, who Empress Matilda was named after. She's Matilda of Scotland, so Malcolm III's daughter, I believe. There's a lot of Malcolms, so I believe it's Malcolm III. But yeah, she is not the famous Matilda, the one who you'd see in the Anarchy with the Civil War. This is actually her mother. Now, we do not have our children, and that's part of starting with the different king. So if we had started with the historical king setup, where he would have been a spy, then we would have had William here and Matilda. So we don't have our children. We don't have William as our heir. We don't have any heir. And Matilda, our daughter, Matilda, is not here either. And if we had started with the historical setup, then she would have already been married to the Kaiser. And so we would have had a starting relationship with the Kaiser because we would have had a royal marriage with them. So we don't start with any of that, and that's one of the unfortunate aspects of us going with the diplomats rather than going with the default spy. But you guys will see here as we play why I really didn't want to have the spy here in our initial setup. So you also notice that we're fairly zoomed in here. We can zoom in a bit further, but we can't zoom out any further. So that's really unfortunate. I wish they would let us zoom out just a bit more, just so we can get a better view of things. Now you can go into these different map modes, and then you can zoom out. You'll see the political map mode. There's a bunch of different modes here. So for instance, here's the religion one. We can see that Western and Central Europe are Catholic. Over here in Eastern Europe and the Byzantine Empire, they're Eastern Orthodox. So we do have this view for zooming out, but with the, I guess you'd call it the 3D map or whatever, I can't zoom out any further. So that's a little unfortunate because I feel like this is just a little bit too close sometimes, particularly during war and stuff. All right, guys, so we're going to shoot around the screen real quick just so you guys know what's going on here, have an idea what everything is. So this is our Crown Authority. We can tick that up, this little meter here, and it does have a cost to it. The Crown Authority gives you bonuses to income taxes, stability, and espionage defense. These are those opinions that we talked about earlier. Here's our stability, and we'll see that that'll have impact in our provinces, make them more unhappy. So again, pretty bad setup over here, starting setup. Up here, we've got all of our, currencies, I suppose. So you got the Royal Treasury gold books. This is primarily for leveling up your knights, giving them new skills. That'll include your king. These are the knights here. Again, the game is Knights of Honor, and the knights are incredibly important. So we'll take a closer look at these here in a minute. So that's the books. You can also click on these. So this will show you your income and expenses. This shows you the religion and culture if you click on either one of these, because this is your religion points that you're getting. That number in parentheses is how much you're earning. Here's the Pope, since we're Catholic, and the bonuses we're getting from being Catholic. And then we have our commerce. So commerce is used for trading, setting up trade routes and trading for different goods and stuff. And then we have our food income. That's primarily used for the military, for you to supply your troops. And then we have kingdom levies, also a military value. Coming down here, you see we got the mini map, and then over here, this is our access to all of our different screens. So we got our province overview, which we can sort by different things. So, we want to look at how much money we're earning. You'll notice that nobody's earning any money, only York. I'll show you guys why that is here in a minute. Here's the great power rankings. This is something we'll have to look at later. None of it is even, accurate right now, probably because we just hopped into the game. We've already looked at this. This is the royal family. Also gives us access to our traditions. Something else we'll have to talk about a little bit later. Royal library, it just explains different aspects of the game. Kingdom advantages, that's really beyond what we want to talk about here in the first episode. And then our kind of diplomacy screen, where it shows, friends, threats, and wars. And so that's pretty much it that we need to know in order to get started here. Let's go ahead and jump into the knights, which are, again, a very important part of this game. So we start with King Henry I of York, and the reason why he's called of York is because he's currently the governor here. In order to get all the wonderful values that you'll get in your provinces, whether it's gold or books, piety, levies, whatever it is, you have to have a governor there. The game calls this royal lands if you have a governor, and if you don't, then you don't get any of the values. And so that's the reason why we're actually going to be hiring a bunch of knights so that we can use them as governors. Now, any knight can be a governor in addition to doing their other jobs, which is pretty cool. And so the first thing we want to do here with Henry is move him over to London, because I just feel like the king should be in London. And so we're going to move him over here. When you hover over him, you'll see all the bonuses that he's going to grant to us, which he's not going to give us much, simply because he doesn't have any skills yet. And so we're going to move him over there. And then let's go ahead and start hiring ourselves a bunch of knights. In fact, we might get 4 or 5 here to start out with. I don't know if that's the way everybody plays, but I like to do that so that I can have governors. I feel like it's well worth the cost, including the amount of money you have to pay, which I think is about 5 gold. Is how much each of these guys will cost us, with the exception of the merchants. And I find that it's well worth it and easily pays itself off with just placing them as a governor. And then you can also use them with all their abilities. And so we're going to go ahead and start with a marshal. And with the marshal, you do have to select where they're going to be located, since they'll have an army. And so we're going to put this guy in Warwick, I suppose.
My troops are waiting.
And so now we have Baron John. All of the knights pretty much are the same when they start out. There's not really any difference, with the exception of those that are a part of your royal family. Those do operate a bit differently. But initially, there's no real difference. I suppose there is age. You see Henry I is an adult, while Baron John is young. So this is what you want. You want them to be young so that you'll have them for longer, because they do age and die throughout the game. So we're going to go ahead and get a merchant as well. You'll notice each one of these is costing us 200 gold. But let's say I wanted to hire another marshal. Well, now it's going to cost 500 gold. So each knight that you have of that class will make hiring a new one more expensive. So the first one's 200, the second one's 500, the third one is 800, so on. So for now, we're going to want to only hire, each class, basically. And diplomat, that will not count as, he does not count as our first diplomat. So we can hire a diplomat as well. Yeah, so we will. We'll get the diplomat, we'll also get the cleric. And I'm a little hesitant to hire anybody else, because right now we really don't have that much money just yet. We're not earning much. So I think we're just going to go with these 4 for right now. And then we'll hire another guy a bit later. Alright, so with these 4, we have 300 books. That means we can get 1 skill. And we should probably level up our king first. And that is because when we look at any of these other guys, you select this button here in order to give them a skill. These 3 are your primary skills, so they have to be of that class. So the martial primary skills, so in this case archery. If we were to look at the merchant, he would have different primary skills. So he's got bargain here, or trading.
Yes.
And then these 2 slots are for secondary skills. So they're skills that are outside their class. I don't know if we have any examples here. Here's one, bargain. Now these might do different things though for a martial than, say, a merchant. So that is a merchant skill, but it might not do the same thing. Sometimes they have some unique bonuses for that particular class. So these are the 2 secondary ones. So if we were to get these, you'll notice archery is level 1, and then each of these tells you what bonus you'll get as you level that up. So in this case, each level of archery, which goes up to level 3, will give our character 1 level. So right now, he's just level 1, I think, level 0, level 1, whatever he starts out as. I think he just starts out at level 0. Yeah, he's got the little dash there. And so each one of these will add a level to him, which can be important for many of the different missions you'll send them on. The skill level will make them more likely to succeed. And it'll also make our ranged squad's attack goes up by 3, then 5, then 10%, and then friendly fire damage reduction will be reduced by up to 50% at level 3. It's pretty useful. We'll talk about traditions here in a minute. So let's say we went to our king instead, which you can lock any of these with the right click. Pretty useful. And then just close them. So if we look at our king, as I mentioned earlier in the video, he starts with level 3 skills. And that's pretty powerful, because normally you would have to pay a considerable number of books to get somebody up to level 2. So with any other character, the first level is 200 points, as you guys can see here. The second level is 500, and the third level is 500, for a total of 1,200 books where the king can get that level 3 with just the 200 books. So this is why the king is such a powerful class, and why you probably don't want to start with such a cruddy king class spy, which the spy class is fine. It's actually incredibly helpful, very useful, just not for the king. So yeah, this is why the king is so good. In addition, when it comes to the traditions, you have to have a level 3 skill. Anybody has to have a level 3 skill in order to get these traditions.
These are the mightiest nations,
which you'll find in this screen here. So these are the traditions. They give you a permanent kingdom effect bonus, and in addition to that, they improve those related skills. So with the rhetoric, if we get rhetoric 3, then we can get the rhetoric tradition, which will then give us the bonus that we'd have to look inside the traditions again to see exactly what it does. But then it also affect any character who had level 3 rhetoric, increasing the influence per governed castle and plus 50 kingdom influence. Now, traditions are kind of expensive, so they're not something we're going to get right now, but it's something to keep in mind when it comes to the king and when you get these skills. So we'll probably want to spend our books here on the king because we'll get that level 3. So we can give him the rhetoric skill, which would be a diplomat primary skill, and that would increase his character level. It'll also give him 3 books for the town he's in. Now it says he's not going to get the bonus because he's not currently in a town. We have him moving right now, so therefore he's not going to give us any bonus just yet. But once he gets to his location, to London, then he'll give us 3 books as well. It'll also give us a chance to successfully improve opinions, and it'll increase his level by 3. We could instead go with archery 3. That'll give us that 10% range squad's attack. We might not be using him as a commander, so probably not going to be that beneficial getting that. Or we can get the leadership 3, another one that isn't going to help us as much as far as the standard bonus, but there is a king effect here, which will increase your influence and get you a 15% chance to avoid opinion drops. It could be, a little helpful. But I think our best option here is rhetoric 3, mostly for those books. And successfully improving opinions is great too.
This will come in handy.
All right, so we're going to get that. We will not be able to get another one because we only have 100 books left. So now we want to assign all of our knights to a task, and that will include our king. So here is how you level them up. Here is where they're governing. And here is this will always be available when you click on it. This shows you what they're currently doing. And then down here, you can give them a mission. And what mission is available is based on that knight's class. So because our king is a diplomat, we can improve relations with a foreign country that does have an upkeep of 15 gold. And keep in mind that this upkeep does go up as you become richer, as you earn more money. The upkeep cost goes up. I think that's what it's based on, because as I played, this got more and more expensive. So you're paying like 50 upkeep to improve relations a bit later. We can improve opinions. That's the opinions up here with all of our social classes. We can instead create a defensive pact, or we can plan an invasion. This is basically the offensive version of a defensive pact because there are no true alliances in this game. You basically make an alliance against one country that you're going to invade. And it's like a secret pact that you make with other countries to invade that one country and then your allies for just that conflict. And this is the defensive version of that. So we're going to set him to improve opinions. This does have an upkeep cost of 15 gold. And thus we're going to be broke here for a while until all of our guys get to their governing locations, in which case we'll earn a lot more money. But this will be pretty impactful because, as you guys can see here, we have a lot of issues because of our social classes not liking us. Our people don't like us. And that's impacting stability as well. That's going to cause all kinds of problems here. So let's go ahead and work on fixing that by improving opinions. I think it's worth the 15 upkeep, guys. So now we have our marshal. We're just going to put him here in Warwick for now. We're not going to do anything else with him just yet. He's not all that useful outside of war. He is a marshal, but he can still be a governor. So we'll be making use of him for that soon. And then we got our merchant. This is probably one of the most powerful knights in the game early on in peacetime. And so we're going to want to go ahead and set up to trade with whichever kingdoms we currently have trade partners, trade agreements with. So if we were to just hop into this view real quick here. Let's say you wanted to trade with Germany. We can go in here and offer a trade agreement with them. That is really useful, just offering that, because offering a trade agreement would increase the merchant's opinion. So I think we're actually going to offer a trade agreement with Germany now, just to boost the merchant's opinion. Probably not going to trade with them. And so you'll see here, merchant's opinion has now increased, and we're no longer in the negative and getting those penalties. And it has resulted in us getting a little bit more gold. We got 1 more gold. So yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. We could do another country. Of course, they do have to agree to the trade agreement, and this is also allowing them to trade with you, and they'll be able to earn a profit. I think we'll try and trade with Castile as well. Yeah, we're going to trade with Castile. So let's offer them a trade agreement. And they are not willing to just straight accept. Instead, they want us to give them 400 gold, and we're going to refuse that. I don't think it's worth it when typically countries will do it for free. I was just trying to get another boost to the merchant's opinion. But yeah, I think we're good to go here, guys. That will get us out of the negative, and we'll have another person we can trade with if we so desire. But who we're going to be trading with is actually France. Now, we could make a better profit trading with Scotland. However, if we go to war with Scotland, then our merchant will be in their territory, and then he can arrest them. Now, sometimes they can escape that arrest, I think, but they seem to always get arrested for me. And so we're not going to trade with them, just in case we go to war with them. We don't want them to arrest our merchant. So let's go ahead and trade with France. Now, you may think, well, France is the natural enemy of England. Well, in this campaign, we're going to try and be friendly with France while we wrap up the British Isles. So we're going to try and conquer Wales, probably Wales first, then maybe Scotland or perhaps Ireland. And thus we actually want to be kind of friendly with France. And you can see that we're already quite friendly with them. They're trusting of us. We have a relation of 389. This also seems to be randomized, because when I played as England last time, they hated me. So yeah, they're much more trusting towards us in this campaign. Just kind of wondering who else is trusting. You see the Germans are, and Castile's not. That high opinion with the Germans and the influence that we currently have in their country is probably why he accepted that trade agreement with us. We'll talk about influence a little bit later. But yeah, we got that getting set up. You notice that we're not earning any more money from it because it does take time to establish that route. So you'll see this fill up, and he'll get that done for us and start earning us some money. So we got Baron Jeffrey, and he's a diplomat. I'd like to improve relations, probably with France, and try and get that up a bit higher. It's pretty high at 389, but it can go up to 1,000, so and get much, much higher. But we're not going to be able to do that because we don't have any money. And so for now, we're just going to let him sit there. He won't have anything to do. And then we have our cleric. The only thing he can do is bolster culture, which we do not have the piety to pay for. If we just wanted to see what that is. When you go, I mean, you guys know what culture is, but when you go to the culture view, you'll see that, you know, you have 100% Welsh culture here, 100% English culture here, and so on, so on. And so that's just basically, you know, converting the people there in any provinces you own to your culture. So we don't need to do that at this point. So for now, our cleric is also going to be able to just kick back and relax. Now, in addition to being a governor and these missions they can do, you'll also get a bunch of opportunities that will become available based on a character's class, and those play a huge role for many of these characters, particularly like the clerics who might not typically have that much to do. They actually do have a lot of opportunities available for them and little missions they can go on, and you guys will see those as we play. So the next thing we need to do is go ahead and get all these guys appointed as governors. Now, when you're appointing governors, you do want to consider the province and what it has. So let's take a look at Kent over here. So in Kent, we've got the town, and then we have 3 different settlements. That's what the game calls these. So we've got a cattle farm, we've got a logging camp, and we got a crop farm. Okay, that's interesting. So these are also randomized. Okay, so this was different in my other playthrough. Now you can see this breakdown here of what you got. We got 1 crop farm. These are also coastal settlements. 2 of these are considered coastal settlements. That's important for certain building chains. And then you can see what resources we have. And yeah, this all does seem to be randomized as well. That's interesting. See, I had never played as the same country twice before, so I didn't know that these were randomized as well. My first playthrough, I had 3 monasteries here. And so that's what I was going to show you guys. But we're going to have to dip around and find somewhere else to put the cleric. But yeah, that's what we currently have here. If we looked at London, we currently got a village, a castle, another village, basically a bunch of villages here. And we'll see that right there. 4 villages, 1 castle, a coastal settlement, and a sulfur deposit. Overall, London's less impressive than it was in my other playthrough. We got Winchester, so it's got a village and a castle. A lot of resources, including gold and iron. Yeah, a bunch of good stuff here, so this is really the key. I almost want to move our guy down to Winchester because it seems like that's a better location. Now, London does have all these workers here, though, all these people, due to the villages. I don't know if there's any actual capitals in the game, guys. I haven't seen any capital mechanics. So really, this city's probably no different than this one. And that was a capital historically at a certain point. Over here, we've got 1 monastery, 2 crop farms, and all of these are coastal settlements as well. And we got the flax fields. Okay. So we kind of got to dip through here and take a look at all these so we know what we've got to work with. So over here, we got a crop farm. We got vines, deep forest, and horses. Nottingham, we've got 3 villages, crop farms, and a coastal settlement, no trade goods. In York, we have 1 castle, 2 villages, 1 crop farm, and we've got herbs and spices. And then up here in the far north, we got 1 monastery, 3 crop farms, and deep forest, cattle, and mineral deposits. So overall, I would say this is not as good of a setup as what I had in my former campaign as England. Yeah, it was a much better setup. Yeah, we don't really have anywhere that has a lot of monasteries. It seems like nowhere has more than 1 monastery. So that's unfortunate. Because putting a cleric in a place with 2 or more monasteries, which again, down here in Kent, I had 3. All 3 of these were monasteries. Putting the cleric in a place that had a bunch of monasteries would be really beneficial to us when it comes to the books. So that's kind of a shame. So really it doesn't matter which one he goes to as long as he goes to one that has a monastery. So I think we might move him over here. Yeah, that's where we'll put him. Okay, so he'll go over there. And we place our governor with this button here. So when we make our cleric the governor here, he's going to grant us 1 book and 1 piety. Now, the reason why he's not granting us more based on the monasteries is that is based on certain skills that you can get, and we're just assuming that we'll get those skills for him. So yeah, we're going to move him over here as the governor. Again, that takes time for that to happen. Another way to do this that's probably more efficient. Now, you do want to dip around your kingdom when you first start and learn what all you have. But yeah, the better way to probably do this would we go through here and then select this button here, and we can see exactly what bonuses they're going to get in those locations based on how many settlements they have and villages and all that kind of good stuff. So we're going to want villages and settlements for our merchant, and so probably one of these places that has at least 4 settlements. Here you have 6 but no villages. And so that's a negative. York has 5 settlements and 2 villages. That's probably where we're going to put him. So he's going to be Charles of York.
Your Chancellor is at your service.
And not the first Charles of York either in history. Well, I guess he's the first at this point. I don't recall any Charles of York before 1110.
Sometimes diplomacy is
so with Baron Jeffrey, let's go ahead and figure out where we want to put him. He's a diplomat, and he's also going to give us bonuses based on settlement. So we probably want him in a place that has a bunch of settlements. So I'm thinking Newcastle. Let's just double check our marshal real quick and see if there's any places with castles where we would want him to be. Since he's going to give his bonuses based on settlements and castles. And I'm not sure where all our castles are located now. Seems that we don't really have any castles outside of this one here. So I suppose that's where we're going to put him. Yeah, we'll put him there. Probably not the best place for him, but yeah, it's fine. So put him there, and then we've already decided where he's going to go. He's going over here to Newcastle. Now, if I do mispronounce any of these, English terms, then just correct me down in the comments. Obviously, American English is quite a bit different than perhaps you call it the Queen's English. Or I guess it'd be the King's English now, wouldn't it? I mean, I speak American English, so if I do mispronounce anything, then just correct me down in the comments below. Also, many of these terms, many of these provinces and stuff, although maybe not so much in this game, but particularly in other strategy games, many of the province names and city names and stuff are based on much older names, and so they're like Anglo-Saxon or even older. All right, guys, so I believe we're finally ready to unpause the game. Yeah, that took a long time. Took quite some time to get that all set up. So these are our speeds down here. I've got it set up to pause with the space bar, since that's what I'm used to in strategy games, but it doesn't set as it's not set up as default to do that. And then we can speed it up and slow it down with the plus and minus keys. Alright, so trade with France has been established, and you notice that immediately we're earning quite a bit more money. I don't think we've set these guys up. No, they're still not the governors just yet, and that'll also increase all of our values here. We're now making 60 gold, so quite a bit more than we were. And we're making some books, religion, piety. Our commerce has gone up. We're now using 10 of our 36 commerce. So every trade route that we set up is going to use 10 commerce. So keep that in mind. Foreign merchants from Scotland have arrived. I almost want to cut off their trade here. But we'll keep on trading from now because we don't actually want to fight them yet. So, maybe they'll avoid attacking us if they're making money from us. And so therefore, we can now set up our diplomats to do something else. We're going to actually go ahead and set them up to improve relations with France, because we don't need them attacking us.
I am off to make some new friends.
So we're going to boost the opinion with them a bit, and then we'll also ask them for a non-aggression pact here soon. I think that's everybody. I don't think we have any other things we need to set up. I believe what we're going to do is go ahead and get another merchant, guys. Could get a spy. It'll only be 200. Be 500 for a merchant, but I think it's worth it because they're worth so much. So we got Baron Osbert, and we're gonna go ahead and set him up to govern. Let's see what location has the most settlements, because yeah, we got a lot of places that are not royal lands that we're not benefiting much from. So probably Nottingham. If we haven't already set one up. I thought we had sent somebody there, but apparently not. So let's go ahead and get him going there. I think that's the best place for him to go because they got all those villages.
This city,
and so that'll get us the commerce. So each trade route is 10 commerce. And so we can set up another one. And in order to increase the size of those routes, because they start at like low level, if we want to increase the size of those, which you'll get opportunities for, so you can't just do it whenever you want. It's one of those things you have to wait for it to happen, for you get an event about it, and then you got to invest in it. And then if you do that, that'll cost more commerce, but it'll earn you more money. So let's go and set up a route with Germany. Again, could make more money with Scotland. It'd also be cheaper to do that. We're not going to.
Let us trade with these,
because we don't want our merchant to be arrested. All right, so we'll earn a lot more money when he gets that trade route set up.
It's a good start.
And we'll also earn more money once he gets set up as the governor here in Nottingham. So at this point, the way we play the game, since we're not going to war just yet, we need to build up a few things before we can really even consider getting into any conflicts yet. So there's the trade route with Germany, earning us more money. Basically, we're waiting until we get money to spend, which we actually have some, so we can spend that here in a minute, and to get those 200 books to get more skills. So King Henry, remember, he set up to improve opinions. He has increased the opinion of the clergy. And so that has given us some more bonuses here, and that's nice for the books, but I would like to get rid of these negatives here. We need to get rid of that stability, the negative stability. So we really need him to boost these up. We'll see if he does. Typically it seems like they often improve the opinion with the nobility and the clergy. And honestly, that makes a lot of sense. That's who your king or your knights would be, schmoozing with. So here in the province view, we looked at a few things. We looked at this here. This is the current stability, which is being increased by the governor by +1, but stability is bringing it down by -2. This is the population, so it can reach a total population of 13. It's sitting at 9 right now. These are the people that you'll recruit from. So pretty important value right there, and getting that higher is very helpful. Also, you'll get a little bit of money from the population, but it's not much. 1.8 was what we're currently getting from having that 9 there. So it's not a huge bonus. This is mainly for recruiting. Over here, we can increase the fortifications. Just click on this, and then you can basically increase the number of troops that are defending it. And you also see that you'll get a bonus to your siege defense. This is the amount of stored food that you have in here. This is also important for recruiting troops and for resupplying them. And as you'd expect, it's important for sieges too. This is the town's defenders. And this is where your buildings go. So you have 4 building slots at the start, and you can open up more by expanding the town using gold. So for right now, we have these 4 slots, and these are the buildings that we can construct. So the reason why it has the number there is because it's best to build something that has a lot of settlements that are going to get those bonuses. So in this case, these are population buildings, and that is based off of villages. 4 villages, and we got that 4 next to the population. So we have 1 castle here, and we got the 1 for the military, and only 1 coastal settlement, and so that's the 1 there. We're not getting anything for religion or farming because we don't have any crop farms, and we don't have any monasteries. And so you notice many of the bonuses that you're getting are based off of how many of those you have. So when it comes to London, in this particular case, your London may be completely different if you're playing as England, since apparently it's all random. So here in London, we have those 4 villages, and therefore it would be best to build in the population section. And I think that's what we're going to do, though honestly, I'm not super impressed with London here. It's not as good as it was in my other playthrough, and really, it feels like this is the place we need to be focusing on, because they got all these goodies that we're going to want to make use of. I didn't have any gold in my first one, and so I imagine, yeah, that would give you a good little chunk of money there. Okay, interesting. And this is very expensive, by the way, but this also will give us gold ingots. So it's not just simply 7 gold. You're also going to get the 8 gold, and then you're going to get 1 base merchant trade income. So each one of your merchants is going to get 1 gold too. So that's a total of 17 gold that we would get from building this. But yeah, it's really expensive, so obviously we can't build it now. But yeah, pretty helpful to have. But these are where you'll find the goods buildings. They're down here at the bottom. As well as any like physical features. I suppose we have an example over here. We have a large river, and so because we have the large river, we can do irrigation and we can do river trade. I suppose we will go ahead and start in London. Feels right. So we're going to go ahead and get the market square. You'll notice this isn't going to give us a lot of bonuses, but it's very cheap, and you'll see from the upgrades that it can get pretty good. And we'll talk about upgrades once we have a building. So we'll start with the market square. Get that constructed. It does take time. It's like a number of hammers, and so the more hammers you produce, the faster you'll build things. Just want to let that play, and we're not going to spend any more money yet because we're going to see if we're going to have access to any upgrades here. And so this is I think our first opportunity, right? I don't think we've gotten it yet. This is actually for our cleric. They're the ones who get the most frequent opportunities. Either them or spies. And so he feels that it is the right time to spend some time with our clergy in an attempt to convince them that King Henry I is a devout ruler chosen by God. And so we have three choices here. We can say, forget the opportunity, in which case it just goes away forever until, it fires again, because eventually it will. You can say, let me think, and then that'll add it to his options. So when you click on them, you'll actually see it here now, appease clergy. And so that'll just leave it up there so you can do it whenever you want to, which is often the case when you don't have the money or whatever else you need, which is what we're going to have to do this time. Because in order to actually select it here, we would need 300 piety that we don't have. So let's go and say, let me think, because we do want to, boost the opinion with the clergy. It's always helpful. Gets us more books. So yeah, we'll do that eventually. But we don't have the piety for now. We're not really earning much. Because again, we didn't start with all that many monasteries this time. So we did finish the market square. Excellent. So that's not earning us all that much, but it is boosting the happiness here, which that's going to be helpful because we don't want to get any rebels here. So we're back at +1 for the stability. Now, when we click on any building, you'll see that it has upgrades. Now, what's awesome about these upgrades is that you only have to get them once across your entire kingdom. So once we get scribe offices, which will grant us 1+ gold and 1+ books in the town. So basically, just you only get that bonus once per province here. Once we get that, any market square we get will start with the scribe offices. If you have multiple market squares already built in your town, so let's say we have one over here in Nottingham, then that would automatically be built there. You only have to get it once. However, one thing to consider is that the more you have, the more expensive it is. So just based on that, it seems like to me, and maybe I'm wrong here because maybe this increases the overall cost of the market square, I'm not entirely sure, but I would think that it'd be best to get this, before you got market squares everywhere, so that as soon as you got the market squares, you'd automatically have the scribe offices in it, or whatever you ended up getting. Now, when you hover over any of these, you'll notice that some of them will light up green. That indicates that you need to have this one to get those ones. So we have to have the scribe offices to get the tax collectors and the courthouses. And then we also have the inns, which will grant us 1 more commerce and then 2 more population here. Also give us 2+ happiness, which is very useful for the tax collection. It offsets some of the unhappiness you'll get there. So you do want to get that. So we're going to go with the scribe offices, upgrade it, because it's just cheap to get upgrades. So in addition to those upgrades, you also have this building tree here. So in the case of the population, we got the market squares. That unlocks these two here, the artisans and the merchants guilds. Those would be separate buildings that we'd have to construct, and you can't get those until after you have the market square. And each of those will have their own upgrades as well, and you can hover over these to see what those upgrades are. So many of the goods that you get are actually upgrades to buildings. In order for you to get that good, you have to upgrade a building to get it. And apparently it said we had the strongest army. We probably didn't. I think it just needed updates because we don't have any troops. We own 1 marshal over here. So I highly doubt that we actually had the strongest army. Now, if you look at this, we are paying for all of our stuff here, all the knights that we have here. We're currently paying 5 gold for that cleric. Again, the merchants are free. We're paying 5 gold for the marshal as well. And we're paying 5 gold for the diplomats. And then those 2 actions that we have our diplomats currently doing, which is pretty expensive. And so I'm thinking we're going to hire another one here soon because we're earning pretty good money. And again, we could put him as a governor somewhere. We got another cleric opportunity. This is the Enlightenment mission. So there are different places that the clerics can go to, and each one gives you different things. So Constantinople seems to always grant books, and so pretty useful since books are very important. And we're going to tell him to just let me think, because I'm going to imagine we don't want to do this right now. We do want more books. Well, you know what? I was going to do the cleric opinion first, but we're actually in the positive here. It's the peasants and the army that we're trying to boost. So I think we will go ahead and send him on the Enlightenment mission. enlightenment mission in Constantinople. We have a 64% chance of success. So, it's not great. We could upgrade him beforehand to make it more likely that he'll succeed, because we do have books. So I guess we can take a look real quick and see what upgrades he's got available. Writing's a pretty good one, because that gives you more books. That's probably the one we'd get for him, actually. However, do we want to upgrade him and just get the level 1, or do we instead want to upgrade our king and get a level 3? And in fact, it looks like the Laws 3 would be the best way to get more books, because that's based off of your castles. And we do have a castle in London. And so that'll get us the 3 books. And also it gets us the levies too, and province stability. So I think that's what we're going to get, guys. I think that's our best option here. Because we need to increase the books so that we can get more skills.
I cannot wait.
So since we have already spent our books, we're just going to go ahead and send him on his mission with the, 64% chance of success. Spend our piety to do that, as well as 300 of our gold. We did upgrade those scribe offices. Excellent. You can get all the upgrades as well. So it's not like you have to pick one or the other or whatever. Something I was a little confused with when I first hopped in. I wasn't sure if I had to just pick one. We did boost opinion with France by 65. So if we want to just take a look at where they're at now. So they're currently sitting at 454. I think we can go and ask them for the non-aggression pact. So he responds with, "It is France's duty to protect its trade partners. We accept your offer." All right, excellent. So we now have a non-aggression pact with France, and so they're not going to attack us. Also, this is going to please or irritate people who are, different countries who are enemies or friends with them. And so we'll get a bunch of opinion changes here, just based on how these other countries feel about France and us getting that non-aggression pact with them. All right, so now that we have that, we need more gold right now. So we're going to go ahead and actually stop him from what he's currently doing. So we're going to pull him back to get ourselves a bit more money. And Champagne offers a trade agreement. Yeah, I think we'll probably just decline that. I don't see us trading with them right now. I don't know if there's any real cost to the trade agreements. I'm not sure. There actually are some benefits to having a lot of trade agreements. So I suppose you could just accept them all. So I think we're actually going to go ahead and get another merchant. I know they're expensive, but like I said, they easily make up for it with the fact that first of all, you're not paying any expense for them. They don't have an upkeep, but also the money you're going to earn from the trade agreement, and the fact that I want to give them another. I want to give this guy a place to govern. So you just get that bonus as well. And so I think it's worth it to get a third one. So he's going to go in Warwick.
This city shall become the leading trade center in the world.
So I'm really focusing on the money right now. So we'll have that for constructing buildings. We also want more books too. So when it comes to the skills that we get, we're definitely trying to focus on that. And this got us some books right here, 238. All right, excellent. So again, we'll go ahead and take a look at our king and see if he's got anything that would be beneficial to us. So we've got courtesy, which would increase our influence. Influence is helpful in diplomacy, very helpful in diplomacy. Makes AI countries more likely to accept any offers you make. And you'll see that when we get an offer, that our knights will tell us whether or not they think we should agree to it. And if somebody has a high influence, you'll notice that they all start agreeing. They all think that you should make the deal, whether it's beneficial or not. That's basically what the AI is getting. And it's telling them, hey, you need to make the deal. And it's really just because you have a lot of influence in that country's court. It's also going to improve the improved relations action. It's going to make it more effective. So yeah, we could get that as well. But I think we're going to go after writing as a secondary skill for the books, guys. And that gets us kingdom influence too. Yeah, this is just based off of your castles, so you get the 20 there. while this is going to give us 15 regardless of whether or not we have the castle. And then we get those 3 books. So that's what we're going to get here. Because remember, we're trying to get the books so that we can, so basically we can upgrade everybody faster. And we get that level 3. And look at that.
Our queen has given birth to a
Let me turn this down a little bit. I'm sure you guys are probably hearing the echo there. So my bad. Hopefully it wasn't too loud. But a prince was born. So the birth of a healthy royal prince has blessed our kingdom. He bears the name of Conan. Oh, really? Conan, huh? He is our eldest prince, and one day he will wear the crown of England. So is he a barbarian, or is he a destroyer? I feel like with a name of Conan, he's got to be a marshal, right? He's got to be. So we're going to go ahead and make him a marshal. Educate him. You can also hold a feast, but we don't have any money. And a princess was born, so twins. We had twins. Now you notice that the event here for the princess is not as exciting. The heirs and the way characters are treated is very much based off of their gender.
His Excellency,
and so female characters are much different. They cannot serve as a knight. They really can't do much of anything outside of being married off, essentially. And when you marry princesses off, they actually give the country you marry them to a claim on your country. So it seems like a negative. Well, it is a negative. However, they also give you some huge positives. So when it comes to fame, which is the important factor for actually winning the game, you'll get part of the fame. I'm not sure the value. I want to say that maybe 25% of the country that marries your princess. And so it's a great way for winning the game, basically, is marrying off your princesses. It's kind of like a diplomatic victory in a sense, because you're getting, all that fame from that. So that's pretty helpful. And also, of course, you get the royal marriage with them. But other than that, other than marrying them off, there's really no use for any of the female characters. With the male characters, though, they can operate as knights once they get old enough. Obviously, right now, he's an infant. He's sleeping easily to the sounds of the birds chirping. So if you look at his skills there, something we haven't really looked at is the skills for our character. He's got 3 stars in warfare, 4 stars in economy, 2 in diplomacy, 2 in religion, which is interesting considering the fact that he's a diplomat. He's only got the 2 stars there, and no stars in espionage. And these have various effects on your country. Your king's ratings here. And you look at the little baby boy here, Conan. He's got 5 stars for martial, 2 for economy, 4 for diplomacy. So I guess he's just such a cute baby that everybody likes him so much, and so he's already got more diplomacy than his father does. He's got 3 stars in religion, and like his father, he sucks at espionage. Okay, excellent. So we have a son and heir. So that's pretty important, because if you die when you don't have a son and heir, then it destabilizes your realm pretty bad. So obviously it's not something we want. Our army opinion has increased. So Henry has done that with that task that he's doing. Again, very useful doing this. And so that has got him up to 0, and most importantly has increased our stability. So now we're only at -1. I don't know if we have any rebels yet. Just looking through our territory, I'm not seeing any yet. When we get our first rebels, which eventually we will, I'll show you what they look like in the towns, because they don't spawn immediately. It's like a rebellious pop. A rebellious, person or group of people. I suppose each one of these kind of represents a group of people. Obviously, it's not just 12 people living in London here.
Our peasantry's opinion has increased.
And peasantry opinion has also been increased by Henry. He's doing a fantastic job of this mission here. And so now our stability is at 0. Excellent. All right, so we actually have some money. And so we could go ahead and get the inns. That'll give us more commerce, which we're going to need more. We're going to need to get that up to 40, actually. And it'll give us more citizens here in London, and more happiness as well. Yeah. We eventually want to do that before we get the tax collectors. But I don't know if that's a priority, because frankly, we need more money and we need more books. And so what I'm thinking of doing is going ahead and getting ourselves a church here. So the church is going to grant us, and we also need the piety. We've been having trouble gaining that. But this will get us 1 book and 1 piety, and then also 1 piety per monastery, which we only have the 1, so unfortunately, it's not going to get us as much as it normally would. These are pretty cheap though, so let's go ahead and build one. So we're going to build that. And yeah, we really should be building more and spending this money here, but I'm like talking. So you should be careful when building in any towns that don't have governors, because, you know, remember, many of the bonuses that you get, you're not going to get if you don't have the governor. You still get some of the stuff, and just none of these values here. But if it's like a trade good or something, you're still going to get that. But what I think we're going to do is go ahead and build here in Warwick, because we've got vines. And so we need some wine in our life. So we're going to go ahead and get this one here. And then after that, I mean, we're really focusing on trying to improve the books and the economy, which we actually have some books here. So we'll take a look and see if we can't upgrade our king. So we can get the trade in 3. That would result in a considerable amount of commerce, guys. Yeah, quite a bit of commerce. But I don't know if you'd want to get a bunch of commerce with your king like that, because then you would lose it when he dies. I mean, you'd have it for quite some time, but yeah, I don't know if you'd want to get that. But yeah, it would be really helpful having it. Or the negotiation, which would get us influence. I really don't think either of those are our best options right now, guys. So let's take a look at some of our other characters and start upgrading them. And I almost want to go and start with the cleric to get more books. And so we'd want to get that writing. Yeah, let's get the writing, guys. So that'll get us, it's not going to get us a ton, but 2 more books. I mean, when you're only in 16, that's pretty helpful. If we were to have war declared on us, we'd be in a bit of trouble here because we haven't built up our military industry yet. That's something we're going to be working on maybe next episode as we get ready for maybe our first conflict. But again, we got to get the economy set up first, because as of right now, all we can get is peasants. That's all we can currently build. And so we want to get more advanced troop types. Then we need the buildings to support those. So something you've probably seen in many strategy games before. We're also going to want to get him some skills, so he'll be better at leading. Unfortunately, that's already the end of this first episode. We actually recorded a bit longer than I had intended to, mostly because we didn't get that far. If you notice here, we got 13 minutes in. That is all. You know, the rest of it was all paused and making decisions and explaining game mechanics and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we're getting some stuff done here, building a few things, and we got a good start going. We fixed the issues that we unfortunately started with. And it was a real bummer that we had all those problems here at the start, so we had to really focus on getting those fixed. But now we can start boosting opinion and actually getting us some bonuses rather than just getting rid of those negatives. And yeah, we'll continue to build up, and maybe next episode, you know, I don't think we'll start the conflict over here in Wales just yet, because we'll need to build up a bit more first. So maybe it'll be the episode 3 that we'll start our first war. And then we'll start building up in the second episode for that war. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this first episode. If you did, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. If you're looking for anything to watch while you wait for the next episode, then check out the front page of my channel. We have 3,000 something videos all sorted by genre. We play a wide variety of different types of games. I do play a lot of strategy, particularly those from PDS, Paradox Development Studios, so Crusader Kings 3, Hearts of Iron 4, now Victoria 3, which just recently released. So I do play a lot of Paradox games. So I played some other games like Humankind as well. Civilization, haven't played that in quite some time. We did do a console version several years ago, but I don't typically play Civilization on the channel, or Total War for that matter. I've had a couple Total War videos, a few Total War videos, but not much. I don't often play it here on the channel. I don't play Total War that much anymore anyways, even off camera. But I do play a lot of Paradox games, and while the videos I do alone are typically of strategy games, Jinx, my wife, she'll join me here on the channel, and we do pretty much any game that looks fun, usually on the console, the PlayStation 5. And so we play a whole bunch of different types of games, you know, simulator games, FPS, action, role play games. Again, if it looks fun, then we'll try it out. I think right now we're doing like a firefighting simulator game. So you should be able to find something to watch on our channel. If you're looking for any links, check out the description of any of my videos. You'll find links to our PayPal, Patreon, and Teespring store. If you'd like to help support the channel, You also find a link to our Discord if you'd like to join our community. And finally, found links to all of our social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff, if you'd like to follow us on those. So I do hope to see you guys on that next episode, and thanks for watching.